Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 250 Motocross Year in Review. A look back at the exciting racing action from a season that saw a Supercross living legend silence the critics with his first outdoor national title. I'm Art Eckman, joined by John Kernan and David Bailey. These guys were the race-by-race hosts for the ESPN coverage this year. John, we went into this season thinking, hey, there's 7 or 8 contenders out there because we've got 5 former champions.
Oh, at least 7 or 8 guys. I thought maybe even as high as 10 people had a chance if the cards played out the way they would have liked. But unfortunately, it didn't for some of those guys. But the guy I was really interested in seeing was Greg Albertine, the 3-time world champion. We didn't know what to expect from him, and I remember standing out there in Gainesville and watching him during practice and also his first heat race, and he just took off. And then the gate drops on the first moto of the 95 season. Albie is gone. I mean, I expected him to challenge throughout the year.
Then Mike LaRocco looking very, very strong, and he was the defending champion.
Right, he looked fantastic, and I thought he's going to repeat. Very strong in the first moto, but chasing down Albertine, I mean, no one really knew what to expect from Albertine. Here's a world champion. He hasn't raced over here just at Budds Creek, and you know, out there in the lead, with a pretty good lead, and I think LaRocco started to get a little nervous, saw him getting away, and closed the gap without any problem, and the DNF really cost him.
Of course, 2 former 125 champions that you knew were good riders in the outdoors, Doug Henry and Jeff Emig.
Well, I thought Jeff Emig, you know, coming in would really be pumped up and really stoked with Yamaha, you know. And Doug Henry, I expected him to have a really good year. In fact, I think Doug actually got off to a much better start than I thought. And, well, Emig, of course, at Hangtown, winning the first moto of the 3rd moto of the season.
David, Jeremy McGrath, though, came into this outdoor season focused, a new conditioning program.
Right.
He wanted to silence those critics that say, this kid can't win in the outdoors.
Well, I saw him during the off-season, and he was 15 pounds lighter. And anytime you can change your appearance that much, you're serious about something. He definitely looked fit, and he knew he had to be fit to compete with guys like LaRocco, Kodrowski, and some of the guys on the outdoors that can just bulldog their way through the holes. Jeremy likes to miss those holes and ride with more technique. And the Supercross, if it gets rough, they just go out there with a shovel and fix it all smooth again. So he knew he needed the fitness.
Big difference. The toughness of the tracks, there's no question. Off-camber turns, the high-speed downhill. Boy, there's a lot there that you don't get in Supercross.
Well, it's a completely different thing, and that was one of my weaknesses. I never did too well in the 250 Nationals because you have to be so aggressive. I was a little bit better in the 500 where you can rely a little bit more on finesse, sort of like Supercross. And Jeremy, I think, fits that kind of mold that I was in where he likes to ride smoother and miss holes, and you can't do that outdoors.
Well, didn't Jeremy more or less like parlay his Supercross knowledge? I mean,
well,
because
he would try to, but still, it gets to a point where you can't take that smooth line. It's just not as fast. You got to go through the holes, and to go through the holes, you got to be strong. You got to have the confidence in your ability to last the whole moto. You got to have confidence in your motorcycle.
John, it was toughness, though, that really counts on these tracks as far as the injuries are concerned, because we had a lot of devastating crashes.
Oh, it was just unbelievable. Probably the worst year ever in motocross history, wouldn't you agree? I mean, you've got several guys out there, the injury to Doug Henry. Well, in fact, LaRocco, his injury to the broken arm actually happened at a Supercross track in Charlotte that really took him out of contention.
I still thought, even with that DNF, that the way he looked at Gainesville, he can come back from a moto, and I think he had the speed to do that, but that wrist injury just took him out of it completely.
The fans' adrenaline went wild with the return of Damon Bradshaw.
Well, I think a lot of people went wild with the return. I mean, people went wild when he retired, and the whole thing was a big shock. And to have him come back into the picture, I think at that point, Albertine and LaRocco were sort of out of the points chase for the title because of their DNFs and injuries. And even though they were out of the picture, so was Damon, but they still could prove really exciting racing and possibly affect the outcome of the title. And I was looking forward to that.
He showed quickness, but he also showed it's going to take a while.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a while. I thought by the end of the year he would have won a moto, but hey, what do I know?
The season opened up in Gainesville with the LaRocco-Albertine last lap battle in the opening moto. We'll have a look at the action when our 250 Motocross Year in Review continues. The 1995 AMA 250 Year in Review show is being brought to you by Honda. Honda, winner and holder of the last 8 consecutive Supercross titles. Honda, come ride with us.
built the first ATV. Now we've built our most powerful, the Foreman 400. Where do we go from here? Just about anywhere we want.
Jumpin', jammin', smashin', crashin', floorin', soarin'. Experience the high-flying world of Supercross like never before. Call now to order Supercross Thrills and Spills, the video that captures the highs and the lows of the world's top riders. Endless Endo's roughest rivalries, biggest bloopers, and fantastic finishes. Can't miss action for the can't miss price of $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-800-225-5222 and order Supercross Thrills and Spills. All major credit cards accepted. Call now.
Throw the Suzuki Katana 600 at a few of your favorite curves. You'll like how it feels, how it looks, and how much fun it is to ride. Pretty soon, you'll realize that life will never be the same. The Suzuki Katana.
The 1995 250 season started in Gainesville, Florida, and what a great track to start off a season with. LaRocco looked pretty good in that first moto, didn't he?
Well, I tell you, it was typical Mike LaRocco fashion. The guy, you know, he has to work, has a bad start at the beginning, but he slowly works his way through the field, and he's just there, and he finally got behind Albertine about midway through the first moto and just kind of worried him a little bit, and then boom, 2 laps from the end, there goes LaRocco. He's just typical Mike LaRocco.
Well, I think he was kind of keeping tabs on what was going on behind him, and there wasn't really much going on. McGrath was nowhere in sight. He had a bad start, and a lot of the guys were coming up from behind, so I think he just felt like if nobody was catching him, he'd take his time with Albertine, because he probably felt like Albertine would tire. I mean, no one knew what to expect. And
Albertine has not seen these tracks before, and he's not too sure about the competition either, so it had to be interesting for him.
Well, he's just out there running scared. Just go as fast as you can. If they're back there, just let them stay there. And I think LaRocco, partway through that moto, probably realized, geez, he's a serious threat, and turned it up a notch, and it's just what he needed.
Moto 2 was a moto of mechanicals. I mean, and a lot of hopes and dreams going down the drain.
It was really unfortunate to see the 2 fastest guys from Moto number 1. I would assume they finished first and second. Both those guys DNF. Also John Dowd with a DNF. So it's a pretty frustrating season to start off for those guys.
Opportunistic, though, for McGrath, John.
Well, you know, the thing is, you can't leave McGrath out. Yeah, he finished 3rd in the first moto, but, you know, the guy had the flu. He's obviously not riding at the top of his game. He's down. He finishes 3rd. Then he got off to a really good start in the second moto, and they were having to chase him. Now, you know, I mean, McGrath showed that conditioning in that second moto with the flu, I think it was like, what, 101, 102 degree fever?
Something like that. I mean, he felt miserable the night before that particular item. But he did get the 3-1 in his first national overall. They had a little break in Sacramento, Hangtown, tough and hard.
Well, I think that would typically be a track where McGrath would shine, but just kind of had an off day there, too, and didn't get things cooking the way he would have liked. And also Albertine again, out to a good start and setting the pace. But I thought after Hangtown that Kudrowski was just sort of picked up for LaRocco. Now that LaRocco was out of the championship picture, Kudrowski sure looked fast, especially the second moto. He was just in a class by himself.
He was very experienced. He's a former champion, and he rode with steady consistency.
Yeah, but what about Jeff Emming? I mean, he wins the first moto there at Hangtown. And then the second moto, he's in a position if he can get around his teammate, John Dowd, and he can't do it.
He's yelling at him the last lap if he could have moved out of the way. I don't think Dowd knew that, and everyone was scrapping. That was a really close race, the closest race we've seen so far in the series, where all the guys you could throw a blanket over for the last lap. Henry was figured into that overall picture. Of course, Kudrowski ended up getting it. Emig was right there. They all were tied on points, and it didn't actually happen until the last couple corners.
So McGrath, though, despite his 3 crashes in the first moto, leaves there with a slim 1-point lead on the way to Mount Morris. And that was when the celebrated Damon Bradshaw returned.
Well, I think there was some riders that perhaps even Emig on Team Yamaha going, okay, I'm doing the best I can, and I'm winning titles, and I've been here for a while, and here comes this guy, and he's getting the royal treatment, all the attention. I got to make sure I beat this guy today. And Bradshaw goes out and gets the whole shot in the first moto, and the crowd, it was unbelievable. Couldn't have been any better.
Interesting mix, though, with Henry winning his first national overall.
Well, I think you had some rain there. You had some mud and stuff, and Doug Henry, known as a mudder, what is he? He says, I don't like the mud. You know, like, I don't really like the mud. I'm just like everybody else. I hate it, but there's just something about it that makes me go fast. And I know we touched on this about that, and I ask you, what makes one guy a good mudder where another guy's not?
Well, I think just it's in your head. It's your attitude. You have to put yourself in a state of mind where, okay, it's going to be slick. I might crash once or twice, and vision's going to be a problem, and you just go out and deal with it.
You have to want to practice in it.
Right. Well,
Go
he
out
lives
and
in a
work
place
in it,
where,
right? And he's got a lot of experience up in the Northeast in that. John Dowd, the same, had another fine performance there with the tough conditions. Okay, McGrath still with a 1-point lead. We go to Budds Creek, and there Henry met it.
Well,
what a launching!
That was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen on a motocross track, and I've been around racing for a long time, and it was a shock to everyone. And it was in the points lead actually at the time that he took that leap, and there was I think a lot of people thought he did that on purpose because he was racing with McGrath, and it was a complete accident. He just got out of control and got to the back of the bike, couldn't let it go to the throttle, and it's just amazing that he was able to sort of walk away from that, and he's okay now.
It was a race we saw a LaRocco comeback from injury.
I think a lot of people didn't expect LaRocco after injuring his arm, breaking his arm in Charlotte back in April, to come back. Here we are in June, and he comes right out of the box and is fast and hangs on, wins that first moto. I don't think anyone expected LaRocco to come back, but I think that served notice that, yeah, he was out of the title chase for himself, but he could play a factor into who was going to be the champion.
Emig really showed some speed, too. He had a great back-and-forth battle with McGrath in that second moto for, like, 7 laps, I think it was. So he showed his speed there, too.
Well, he sure did, and I think that at that point he realized that Henry was out of the points, and that no one really knew how serious the injury was to Henry, and Emig thought, well, here's my opportunity now to put the pressure on Jeremy, and the battle will be between us, because already LaRocco's out, Albertine's out, Henry's out, so there was really no one else.
Hey, when we come back, we'll have more 250 Motocross Year in Review for you.
Oh, he's got hold of a good one. Introducing the no annual fee ESPN MasterCard, the only card that makes you a sports VIP. Earn insider access with every purchase. And this team headed for victory lane. Earn VIP privileges at major sports events. He's racking up points every time he turns. And exclusive savings on Dream Week vacations and events with sports celebrities. And points for exclusive ESPN collectibles. The ESPN MasterCard. Your VIP credentials all over the sports world. Call 1-800-995-ESPN to apply for your ESPN MasterCard. You want inside? Now you've got the key. Make purchases with this MasterCard and you'll rack up points that make you part of the action. So if you live for sports, get credit for it. Call 1-800-995-ESPN to apply. There's no annual fee, so call now. You'll get a free ESPN VIP t-shirt after your first ESPN MasterCard purchase. Call now.
ESPN's Emmy Award-winning Outside the Lines has always brought you the stories behind the headlines, hard-hitting and clearly telling the truth about the world of sports. Outside the Lines 5th Anniversary Special, Tuesday night at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Rule number 52, face off. Rule number 25, to play the game, use a puck.
The Red Wings battle Cam Neely and his Killer Bees Thursday live.
The NHL rules on ESPN2.
Welcome back. Art Ekman, David Bailey, John Kernan. The 1995 250 season, round number 5 now, went to Southwick, Massachusetts. And, of course, the fans were waiting for Doug Henry, who was injured, of course, the race before. But Emig, he came to play and play hard. He showed he might give a points race to Jeremy McGrath.
Right. Well, I don't know if might really fits in there. It was an exclamation point on the first moto. Good start, wire to wire, had everything dialed in. You would think that John Dowd would do well there, but nobody was a match for him.
Yeah, Dowd has not won there, even though he's done well and been on the podium before. But Emig, leading every lap in Moto 1, had a battle on his hands in Moto 2.
Well, then Dowd, you talk about Dowd. He gets around Emig early on in Moto number 2, and all of a sudden it's like, I don't know, something just wasn't clicking for Jeff, and he just started falling back, and was in danger of not being able to take the overall victory after having that dominant performance in Moto number 1.
From 14th to 3rd, but won his first 250 overall. Jeremy McGrath, another second Moto victory now. This shows me something.
Well, he's coming through when it counts, and he's thinking title all along. And even at the second round, his helmet strap came undone, and he was thinking, well, I only lost 7 points on the day, so I'm still in the lead. And to be able to salvage kind of a poor day and still come away with the points lead, you know, there's no better way than to be putting the pressure on your competition than to do that.
Well, getting back to Emig, fighting his way back from 14th to 3rd to get the overall, well, he got his way up to 5th. And got a little bit of luck because Dowd had some problems with a shock seal.
That's
so
right.
That knocked him out, so that gets a position. And Albie crashes. So that's what enabled him to get up in the 3rd. After he lost his rhythm, he got a little luck.
Well,
and
I think he might have given up. He might have given up there. And then he saw that, you know, Dowd had problems, and then Albertine fell, and he thought, well, you know, and he started feeling better, and he was finding his lines, and he started riding better, and all of a sudden there it was. It was his to take, and he took it.
Then it was on to Buchanan. Now, just when somebody challenges McGrath, he cinches up the rope again.
You know, he kept doing that in the Supercross. Every time LaRocco would come through and win one, he'd come right back and win 2 or 3 in a row.
Because this was Emig's favorite track. I mean, he'd won incessantly there in the 125s.
Yeah, I think it was also, let's see, the fans love him there, too, and always pump him up. He'd won, what, three in a row. And I don't know if I saw the guys there last year in the 125s. They had painted Emig. Remember those guys?
That's right. Well, Emig, you see, that's where he started his big string to defeat LaRocco in the 120 for the 125 championship. That's really where it started there. So McGrath, another overall victory. Then we went to Troy, Ohio. Now, during this time of the year in motocross, you really got to drink your fluids, don't you, David? I mean, it is hot, it is humid, and in Troy, Ohio, it can just bake you.
I think that was about as hot as it got all year. I think Millville was also a hot one, but Troy, I think, was the hottest. And that's the one race where you'd think that McGrath might not be able to go the distance, and he did. He pulled it off in the toughest conditions of the year.
He broke the tradition, won the first moto, got out there, went back, put the cold towel around his neck, came back with a 2nd place. LaRocco really helping his point situation out there with Emig, too.
Well, any time that LaRocco could get in between those guys and push Emig back a spot or two, and McGrath knew that. He would take advantage of that situation, and Emig was just unfortunately unable to really capitalize on having LaRocco in between them. It just never worked his way.
Was it more that LaRocco has more experience on the 250, and that's why he was able to, you know, keep Jeff back behind him?
Well, I think so. I mean, LaRocco's tough no matter what size bike he's riding, and Emig, I think, you know, he showed speed. He was winning motos. He won an overall in Southwick. And it's his first year on the 250. So, I mean, it was between he and McGrath at this point for the title. And I think McGrath has had the edge because he already had a year under his belt.
More bad luck for Albertine there, too. He broke his hand, and this is the first year he's ever had any injuries, despite all his world championships.
Well, I think this really hurts him going into next year because, as you mentioned, he'd only run at Budds Creek. And now, after round 7, there are 5 places that he doesn't have the experience, and he's got to come back next year and get the experience on those tracks. I mean,
yeah, that's still going to be new for him. That'll be tough. A lot of injuries.
Yeah, excuse me, Dave. Next, we go to the rock capital of the world, Unadilla. I mean, you got to put armor on before you get pelted with all those rocks and so forth. And it's an interesting situation for McGrath, isn't it?
Well, it's a track that he doesn't really like that much. It's very rough. There's, to me, I think that he would be able to use those whoop-de-doos. They're so big there. The track is so rough. They're almost like jumps. And as it turned out, he didn't get a very good start. He had a great start, but I think it was Larry Ward came around him, got ahead of him, and he tried to make a little move on him, take a different line. He was just being defensive, really, not following, and it just sort of worked out that Ward got crossed up in the ruts, and Jeremy went down. So now he's coming from dead last on a track he doesn't really like that much. So it was a pretty good ride,
and a break for Emig.
Oh, big break.
And for Larry Ward, I mean, the guy has a chance after finishing 2nd in Supercross to Jeremy McGrath to really shine, and then boom, he starts going backwards and find out what was it, ignition problems for Larry Ward.
Really, the big highlight was the appearance of Doug Henry.
Well, it was good to see him up and walking around. I mean, it seemed awfully quick. And with that Honda shirt on over that brace that he was wearing, he really had no idea that anything really even happened to him. He just looked like he hadn't been in the sun for a little while, was all.
It was wonderful to see him up walking around, and best of luck for next year, too, for Doug Henry. We'll be back with more of our 250 Motocross Year in Review after this.
What do you see in this blood, Interesting. And this one? I see. And finally... Oops, my mistake.
Suzuki Dual Sport Motorcycles. 4 personalities, 1 great line.
Oh, I see.
You think you know basketball?
Yeah.
That's what you think, baby.
GameSmart How to Watch Basketball is the smartest explanation of the game ever.
This is it, baby. The game, the rules, the strategies. Everything you need to know to become a superstar basketball fan.
It's the best game there is. And this tape makes it even better. It's like having a coach in a box.
Wow, this tape is sensational.
Call now and order GameSmart How to Watch Basketball for only $19.95, and we'll send you free this handy referee reference.
You actually get Division I coach Lute Olson to walk you through the plays.
My dad taught me the game. Now it's my turn.
When you finish watching this video, you'll feel more like a coach, baby, than just another fan.
GameSmart, because basketball's a lot more than just slams and dunks.
It's awesome, baby, with a capital A.
Call 1-800-224-9988. Get GameSmart How to Watch Basketball for only $19.95. And the referee reference free. 30-day money-back guarantee. 1-800-224-9988.
Did you patch the roof?
Yes, dear.
Did you wash the cat?
Yes, honey pie.
Did you ask your boss for that raise?
That's it! I'm not listening to nothing else but NFL Prime Monday. Nothing but ESPN's Tirico, Theismann, and Sharp recapping who got cream Sunday, who's busted up, who's gonna kick whose butt in Monday's big game, so I can't hear anything you say till after the show.
Oh, Charlie, can I get you a cold one?
Yes, honey lips.
Welcome back as we move on with our 250 year in review of motocross, and let's go to round number 9, Millville, Minnesota. And the weather again was taxing in Millville, but LaRocco didn't seem to bother him much in that first moto.
Not at all. No, he looked very strong, looked like he did at the opener, and like he did at Budds Creek, going out and working his way to the front, and he just didn't look like anybody had the speed to challenge him. In McGrath, a 3.5, didn't really have that good of a day, and he said afterwards that he was overtrained. And he looked it, because when those guys came up to challenge him, he just backed off, said, no, go ahead, I'm not going to do anything stupid.
Well, this gave a little opening anyway, a little hope for Emig.
Oh, man, but then he and John Dowd, his teammate.
Yeah.
I mean, what were we talking about a little bit earlier at Hangtown, where Dowd wouldn't let him get around so that Jeff could win the overall, and then they tangle. They go down and just like practically, I don't know how Jeff got up and rode with that bike as badly torn up as it was. First moto, he finishes 21st, out of the points, and that right there is just about the end of the championship hunt for him.
He showed his professionalism afterwards, though, in talking about his teammate and saying it was just racing and all that. But crashes were a big part of that, and especially in the second moto.
Well, McGrath went down, so the whole role was reversed. Now Emig's out there with the whole shot, but I thought that he wasn't able to really capitalize on it, because he rode the entire first moto with his bike bent up and front fender missing, and he had to come in and stop and get things done to it, and he wasn't able to really get any points at all, but he still stayed out there on
The
a hot
big
day.
thing, though, in that first turn was the injury to Mike LaRocco again, which later precipitated reconstructing the left knee, because both the MCL and the ACL were damaged. And so this was a big thing for Mike LaRocco. He got his, I think, his leg caught and hyperextended inside a tire that marked the edge of the course.
Well, you got to wonder what that's going to do to him next year. I mean, I realize he's got a number of months and he's had the reconstructive surgery, but just the rehabilitation to go through and to get back on that bike and just take the beating that those guys take out there on the course.
Well, and he would have a tendency to come back too early, too, because he is such a workout fanatic. And Roger DeCoster told me just the other day, he says, every week I call him twice and say, don't work out that much, you know? I mean, take it slow.
He's tough. He's had a lot of experience at coming back from injuries and operations. And,
yes, he is tough.
And I think he knows how to do it by now. I agree with you. It's going to be tough. Plus, he's switching teams, but he's experienced at it.
Well, switching teams is going to make him want to come back even sooner, isn't it?
I think it'll change his mental approach to it, too. I think he needed one, looking at the bad luck behind him in the career. Next to the Cascade Mountains in the Pacific Northwest, Washougal, Washington, probably one of the most beautiful courses.
It is definitely one of the most beautiful courses. Very fast and kind of smooth. Doesn't get that rough, and that's the kind of track that McGrath really likes. But in the first moto, Emig and McGrath side by side for almost a half a lap, just side by side. Finally, Emig took the edge and just walked away. And McGrath said that his bike wasn't set up very well. He came out in the second moto and got the whole shot. Well, actually, it was just a carbon copy of the first moto. They were side by side again, but McGrath this time took the edge, and then Emig right there pushing him, and then kind of a freak fall. I don't think he fell as a result of pushing hard. It was just a weird thing, and once again, unable to really do anything with McGrath.
That's an interesting track, because you got a lot of high speed going uphill on that track.
Oh, yeah.
Well, with Emig, I mean, the points championship stays the same, the separation. And here he goes, rides his heart out in that first moto. Second moto, has finished his second. You think you're going to make up some ground, but nope. Supermac, you know, it's tied, both of them with the same number of points.
And to make it worse,
points.
McGrath wins the second moto and gets the overall, too.
Right.
So
Nolene's Kyle Lewis, his best performance of the year, and he finished in the top 5 after it was all over with, but he had third on the podium there. Then Binghamton, New York. Back to more rocky soil.
More rocks, yeah. And it was a day I thought well, McGrath, of course, was dominant, both motos. And what I thought was, I was impressed with Jeremy because I've mentioned before that I don't think he's won any real close battles with the top guys. He's come from behind and all that, but here he fell down in the second moto. Emig got by him, and Emig was riding fantastic, but Jeremy regrouped, got the speed, went back and passed him. He didn't have to, but he did, and I was really impressed by that.
But Emig also had his problems. He crashes, finishes 7th in the first moto and second, and then that points lead just ballooned to where it was almost insurmountable.
To 47 points at that time. Phil Lawrence captured the top privateer money in that one, too, and that was valuable money to a privateer.
Of course, yeah, that was a great ride for him, but of course that was the kind of a wicked crash there where Brian Manley fell in a blind spot. Then came Bradshaw, who was third in the first moto, running third in the second moto. It looked like he was finally going to get through a day without any bad luck. Lands right on top of him. Then came Kudrowski. He goes down. Then Dowd plows into Manley. A horrible crash. Everybody was okay, but it was pretty scary.
That was one of the top highlights of the season on the highlight reel, crash-wise. Anyway.
How can you call that a highlight? That's got to be a low light, you know? I've always had a problem with that, you know, for crashes being highlights.
Yeah, that's true.
It just is.
Manley came out of unscathed.
Well, yeah, that's true. So
it's
I
a
guess
highlight because they're okay.
Yeah, that's a highlight.
Network television. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gotten on. Delmont, Pennsylvania, after the sweep by McGrath, and that was the first sweep of the year by any rider, he sweeps him again to finish off the season.
Well, and that's interesting, I think, because all he needed to do was go out and finish 18th in the first moto. That's it. And he goes out and it's like, well, no, I'm not taking this title by cruising around.
Well, Rocco last year wrapped up the title there. He won both motos, and he hole-shotted both motos. Rocco, now we're talking about hole-shotted. So McGrath, anytime you have it, I mean, first of all, a lot of guys are missing. Bradshaw didn't show up. You know, all the people that we talked about that have been injured, it was very low on talent.
Albertine was back in South Africa.
Right, so it made it a little bit easier, and McGrath loves that racetrack and probably wanted to go out in style.
Coming up, we're going to take a look at the champion and hear from his viewpoint about the 1995 championship.
Winning a single Supercross is no easy feat. Jeremy McGrath has won 3 Supercross championships in a row. For Honda, that makes 8 straight. Are you up for that?
How do you visualize your future? This or this? Call Motorcycle Mechanics Institute and get on the fast track to success. Endorsed by all 5 major manufacturers, the MMI professionals will provide the technician training to give you control of your future.
I'm currently in charge of Team Suzuki Yoshimura's Supersport program. I wouldn't be here today without MMI on my resume.
Call Motorcycle Mechanics Institute now to train for your future.
The 1995 AMA 250 Year in Review Show is being brought to you by Suzuki. Right now, your Suzuki dealer has the ride you've been waiting for and the financing to get it. 1995 signaled, among other things, the end of the long-running Mike and Mike show. Opening round at Gatorback Cycle Park would turn out disastrous for some and answer some long-awaited questions for others. For ESPN, we learned you put a camera on the rider's helmet and get some pretty neat shots. For Team Honda, at least in the early part of the season, they'd learned that both of their 250 riders were going to be competitive. At the checkers, it was McGrath winning the overall. Then looking west.
I like Hangtown, actually. I think Sacramento's a good track. I've done good there before, but I wasn't into it. I don't know what happened. I don't know if my bike wasn't working that good, or I don't know what the problem was. Sacramento probably was the worst race for me in outdoor nationals this year, even though I don't know, probably got 5th overall or 4th, but I was having problems, just not taking the right lines. Bike setup wasn't probably as good. Right after that's when we really started working hard on my bike and getting that thing working good. I knew that I had a bad day, and I just wanted to get out of there, get away from that race, and just go on to the next one.
Round 3 provided a release of sorts for McGrath. Damon Bradshaw would make a much-anticipated return to racing at Mount Morris. Gone was longtime tuner Brian Lennis. Bob Oliver was now responsible for tuning the wrenches and keeping the temperamental talent in check. Gone was the low national number. Fans and press would have to search with diligence for the triple digit. Still, they found him.
I think Damon is good for the sport. I think he's a nice guy, nice person. He's a little on the edge with his attitude sometimes, but he's got talent, man. The guy's awesome. I definitely looked up to him and still look up to him as a rider. I think his first race back was Mount Morris, and I think he got, if you notice now, all the hype's going right. It's good to have another guy in there, but he sure caught a lot of hype right as soon as he's coming back. I think he's still trying to gain some speed, and Mount Morris, I mean, he beat me first moto back. That was a mud race, and I crashed 4 times in the first race, and he finished right ahead of me. But you know, he's still learning it. Just we'll have to wait and see what he does over the off season to see if it really turns him around. The way I look at Damon right now is, I don't see in him what I saw in him before, which is that fire and that spark, you know, that he had when he was winning. Mount Morris is one of my favorite tracks. Had a good time. I think I'm starting to learn the mud, starting to ride the mud like I know, you know, like I'm learning it, like I'm familiar with it. And since we live out here in sunny California, we don't see mud too much, so it's kind of hard to get used to it unless you ride it a lot. So I think that's where that turned around for me. I started getting some confidence in the mud.
Budds Creek was a heart stopper. As yet another top contender, McGrath's teammate Doug Henry dangerously took himself out of contention. Henry would miss the remainder of the outdoor season. Remarkably, he'll return to ride again in 1996.
Henry and me were battling, and I come around the corner. He kind of crossed it up over this double jump a little bit. I got beside him. We came down and started to go off the hill jump, and I was coming around him. And then all of a sudden, you know, you're supposed to gas it a little, but not a lot. And he hit some bumps and kind of fell off the back and gassed it and just went so high, like 60, 70 feet in the air. And I knew that was just like, wow, you know, that was it for the day. He flew up there and ended up hurting himself. But I was giving him a lot of pressure. I was feeling pretty comfortable that day and was right on his tail and kind of dogging him a little, and he was maybe actually holding me up a little in that moto. But yeah, that kind of sucked. Budds Creek was good for me, though. I liked it.
Winning a single Supercross is no easy feat. Jeremy McGrath has won 3 Supercross championships in a row. For Honda, that makes 8 straight. Are you up for that?
Jumpin', jammin', smashin', crashin', floorin', soarin'. Experience the high-flying world of Supercross like never before. Call now to order Supercross Thrills and Spills, the video that captures the highs and the lows of the world's top riders. Endless endos, roughest rivalries, biggest bloopers, and fantastic finishes. Can't miss action for the can't miss price of $19.95 plus shipping and handling. Call 1-800-225-5222 and order Supercross Thrills and Spills. All major credit cards accepted. Call now.
Throw the Suzuki Katana 600 at a few of your favorite curves. You'll like how it feels, how it looks, and how much fun it is to ride. pretty soon you realize that life will never be the same. The Suzuki Katana.
Round 5, Southwick, Massachusetts. Enter a speedy Jeff Emig. Old rivals. There's never been any love lost between these two. McGrath, who in the past questioned Emig's aggressive style, now seems to embrace both the rider and the level of competition.
Yeah, that was a good moto for him. He had a really good, strong first moto, and I knew it would start to come into a climax, you know, for the points and start getting into a two-man, three-man battle. And you know, I kind of always knew it would be him. And if it wasn't me in there, it'd still be him and someone else. So just luckily, I improved myself a lot this year. And you know, before I used to hate riding with Jeff and hate riding against him, and because he seemed to be kind of a dirty rider, and he used to kind of swerve on the lips of jumps and take you out in the air and stuff like that. But now I don't mind. You know, we get some good races going. We're actually friends now. We talk all the time, hang out. You know, one of our favorite things to do is wakeboard, and we go out together all the time. And you know, I would hope that he can say the same thing about me, is, you know, that we have some good races and good battles. And I don't ever go out there to take anyone out. And, you know, retaliation may be one thing to a point, but if someone's going to wreck you, you know, you got to do something back a little bit. But I actually enjoy racing side by side with him now.
Buchanan and Troy represented the midway point of the big outdoor national season. Both venues had record-breaking temperatures, challenging the riders' endurance and conditioning, even more so than their talent. Jeremy responded well, posting an identical 1-2 at each location, and then held his breath, leading into New York. Unadilla, known for rocks, ruts, and bad weather.
First moto, okay, I got a second place start. I hit Larry Ward's wheel in like the second corner and went down. Had to catch up from last all the way to fifth. And then second moto, hole shotted, Bradshaw passed me, and then Bradshaw bobbled and fell over. And then after that, I kind of was feeling my way through the mud. It was super muddy, and then just pulled away and won the moto by like 20 seconds or something. And I was pumped, because the first moto I had a bad moto, and right then at that race I was thinking on not losing points, and I think I lost 13 points in that one moto, because I think Emig won the first moto or something. And so kind of went teeter-totter, you know. I was pleased with my second moto at Unadilla, though. Millville for me was a terrible race. I think it was another race kind of like Hangtown. I overtrained. I was so pumped, you know, because of my wins and my riding, and I overtrained going into Millville because I knew it'd be rough. I knew it'd be hot, and it didn't work out for me. I went to the race and I felt like crap. I was tired, got tired in both the motos, and you know, I should know better than that by now. It's something you can't overtrain yourself during the week, because it won't pay off on the weekend. First moto, we gained a lot of points on Emig because Skip put on the board, you know, Emig and then question mark, and then after that, I remember coming around and lapping him. So I was stoked about that. My riding wasn't good that day, so I was just trying to stay consistent. And then second moto, just tables turned. I crashed second corner out, got jabbed in the back with a foot peg and lost all my air. Took me 2 laps or so to get recovered from that. And then I just pushed as hard as I could. I knew the track was rough. I was tired, hot, and you know, I was pretty happy to come out of that race the way I did, with a 5th.
A 21st place finish by Emig in Moto 1 at Millville did not help his chances heading into the final 3 rounds. Down, but not out. He'd been there before and wasn't about to go away.
Yeah, Emig, first moto Washougal pretty much smoked me. We got off the gate together. I stayed behind him. We thought we'd try some different shocks that day, and it seemed like it was working all right in practice. But then when we came to the moto, you know, Emig's bike just overshadowed mine by a mile, and he smoked me by probably like 25 seconds or something. But after I figured I couldn't hang with him, I kind of just mellowed out and kind of took my second with, you know, my head down. second moto, we made some changes to the bike, put a new shock on different old settings, and bike was back to great again. And Jeff got off to the second place start right behind me, passed me. I passed him back, and he stayed behind me. 2 laps, I started to pull out on him a little, and I was probably pulling second a lap on him for like 2 laps, and then he just crashed out. I don't know what happened. I think a lot of people said it was kind of a crazy crash. Really wasn't expected. He doesn't usually do that. But won the moto by a long ways after that. So I think he kind of took himself out there a little bit. Binghamton was, that track is so rough. Big downhills, rough everywhere, big jumps. Not such a fun track for me. I'm not usually used to it. I don't like really riding it too much, but so Binghamton, we come around, we have first moto, passed Jeff on the first lap, kind of pulled out a little lead, won the first moto. Then we go into the second moto. I get out in the lead, pull out about a good 6 seconds maybe 5 seconds, and then I go down. And then Jeff passes me by a couple, 3, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then I get up and put this awesome charge on that I didn't even know I had in me, and caught him and surprised him and passed him and won the moto. So I was really happy about my finishes that day. That was awesome.
Jeremy won the second moto at Washougal, swept Binghamton, but still found himself in his first ever final race battle for a title. The deck was shuffled. The cut was clean. You had to have liked Jeremy's chances.
Over the years, all my championships, I've never had to race all the way to the last race. You know, last moto, last everything. I know some guys like this year, Ryan and Steve, had to go down to the last lap of the last race, but I've been pretty fortunate that way and don't have to seem to get a good points lead. I think it has to do with riding smart and being, you know, consistent, but I still wanted to win, you know. Delmont's my favorite track. I look forward to that track every year. It always helps to have your favorite track as the very last race, because in case of that situation comes, you can still kick some butt. And that's what I wanted to do. I was looking forward to it, and got 2 great starts and won. My dad and mom were there, and they were happy. They had never seen me win a race until the previous week at Binghamton. It was something that I felt like a big, you know, rock was off my shoulders. I've heard all this stuff over the years, you know, no, you can't ride outdoor, no, you can't do this, you can't do that. But when I won that race, that moto, and came around, it's like a big relief, you know. I've had to listen to it over the years and just kind of put it behind me, because I knew myself that I could do it. At least I thought I pretty much knew that I could do it, and I just never had tried. And finally I put my heart into it and tried to do it, and that's what I get. I mean, that's what, that shows that when you put 110% into something, if you want it bad enough, you can do it. And all pressures were off after first moto. I was so happy. I just felt like I grabbed the whole world, you know. It was cool.
And Subway asked us, Bucky and Vinny, to review their authentic steak and cheese sandwich. We went to the steak and cheese capital of the world, Philadelphia.
Hey, this is where they filmed my favorite movie.
How about a great steak and cheese? Hey, champ, steak and cheese, please.
This is very good, this is. Like it, huh?
This is the real McCoy. Tender, juicy steak with loads of melted cheese, all on fresh baked bread.
We have a winner.
Subway, what a sandwich.
Commercial truck buyers, listen up. Whether you're a one-man operation or you're looking for an entire fleet, the only place to go is Scranton Dodge. We start with tough Dodge truck bodies with the largest frames and most powerful engines, then design your truck to your specifications. From dumps to snowplows, we've got all the best equipment with factory-trained professionals that will have your custom-made truck delivered right away. If you want the best truck for your business, come down and see our big selection at the area's truck authority, Scranton Dodge.
Ask most is, at the end of the show when the music's playing, the anchors are talking to each other, what exactly are they saying?
I'm Dan Patrick. I'm Keith Olbermann. We'll see you later.
You phony. Do they sell men's clothes where you got that outfit?
I have got a wedgie like nobody's business right now. Thanks for sharing that.
When was the last time your hair actually moved, like 1977?
When you put your fingers through it.
Wedgie didn't prevent that gas from coming up, did it? Hey, that's the naga hide rubbing on the chair. Don't make things up, bud.
I had a kick here.
I don't know what that is in your teeth, but I assume you're saving that for later.
Jeremy and his motorcycle are one. This is what makes Jeremy able to do the things he does, is because he has fun and he goes out and he starts doing all this weird stuff. And he takes that indoors when it's time to go racing, I think. Our whole deal is train, be strong, and draw on your talent, don't rely on it. I know he's not going to do anything that he feels uncomfortable doing, and he doesn't right over his head. You do all this extreme stuff, you go to a racetrack and you're never intimidated by it. Yeah, the first two races, I was just going in there, feeling it out, trying to ride as best I could and trying to see how the other guys were riding, actually. Anaheim was maybe a little bit sooner than I expected to win a race, but I was really happy. Well, I get great starts. I don't understand how I do it. Everyone asks me how I do it. I don't practice starts, and a lot of guys, when we're even on the starting line and there's a race right before us, guys are watching the gate, trying to look at it, and maybe I'm superstitious a little bit about it, but everyone else is looking at the gate, and I turn away from it. Well, I think that there's some people that do treat me a little bit different, but I'd rather just treat me the Jeremy I am, you know.
But you don't see why they think you're a superstar?
Well, yeah, I see it on paper, okay, but I don't want to be treated like that. I try not to treat people like I'm a superstar, so I just try and act normal.
Looks like Jeremy McGrath doesn't want second. He's never been in it, and he wants to go back to first.
Hit fire!
Jerry, hit fire.
Hey, you working this thing or what?
Yeah, I'm working it.
How long you been doing this shocking testing? What? You won the World Supercross Championship. How was it?
Well, that was pretty good, but we're here in the U.S. now, and this is a little bit different.
So you don't want to talk about Euro stuff?
No,
Japan?
not really, not
okay,
really.
First round of Supercross. You gonna get ready to go out?
Yeah.
The latest bikes, the hottest wheels, the greatest finishes.
That's all I ever wanted.
It's time to ride your own race. Get on the fast track to success by calling Motorcycle Mechanics Institute. Endorsed by all 5 major manufacturers, the professionals at MMI will provide you with the training to finish first.
1 year after graduation, and I'm working for the 2-time and current AMA National Championship GT Endurance Road Race team, Team Moto Liberty.
This is the call that can change your life. Take the first step to MMI.
If you like motorcycle racing, you'll want to get the full story every week in Cycle News, America's weekly motorcycle newspaper. Call now and have Cycle News mailed to your home every week with this special television offer. Subscribe for 1 year and get 50 weekly issues for only $33. Use your credit card or just say, "Bill me," and make 3 easy payments of $11. Call toll-free 1-800-325-2925. Subscribe to Cycle News and just say, "Bill me."
Want inside? I mean, like, be there. In the paint, kissing it off the glass. In the red zone. In the slot, cranking a slap shot. Flat out on a straightaway. It's all about coverage. Like NHL hockey 3 nights a week. 175 NCAA basketball games. A great college football lineup. And the most complete NASCAR and IndyCar coverage on television. Want to feel it? To get the contact your cable or satellite provider.
Well, you know, yeah, I think I beat the record now by 1. I have 29 Supercross victories. And, you know, as far as the records and stuff go, I'm trying not to look forward to records anymore. I'm just trying to win races. And next year, the plan for me to go out is just to be strong and be healthy and try and win as, you know, close to as many races as I did last year. I still don't feel like, even though I'm 3 Supercross championships in the bag, I don't feel like I'm a veteran. So I feel, you know, like I'm still one of the younger guys, and I think next season will be good. I'm still strong, still wanting to win, and look for some championships next year too. Yeah, I have a great time racing. I think I enjoy riding my motorcycle, racing, the competition part of it. I love it all. I think the only thing that's probably not as enjoyable as when like 91 and 92 is because I was riding 125 West Coast and there wasn't so many races. Now we have to do so many races per year. It's like, you know, what more do you want? But, you know, it's part of it. We put up with this grueling sport for a good 7 years or so, and if you play your cards right, maybe you don't have to do it anymore. Well, I don't know. That's kind of hard to say. Like, I don't know if anyone's ever, like this year we had 27 AMA races, and I won 17 of them. I mean, that's a pretty good record, I think. I don't know if Rick Johnson, Bob Hanna, I don't know if anyone's ever won that kind of percentage out of the year of racing of series, but, you know, I find that I don't, even though I may come out with most of the wins and all the, you know, a lot of the victories, I still look at myself as being the underdog, so I still feel that there's a challenge out there, and you know, as long as there's a challenge, I'm interested. I've won Anaheim, I think, the last 5 years in a row, and I kind of call Anaheim my claim to fame. Anaheim and San Diego both, I've won them both, you know, years in a row now. I don't know, I think it's just one of those things. I love having my mom and dad and my friends and my sister and my, you know, just my family and everyone there being able to be behind me. It's kind of like when I go there, I feel like it's just my race, you know, it's Jeremy's race. And, you know, I got a bad start at Anaheim, and I never really doubt my abilities to ride and come up through the pack. The track was a little bit narrow, and they had some kind of a different design that weekend, kind of easy, I think, because of the rain and stuff. They didn't have time to build a good track, as good as the others anyways. But it's always tight, and I think I excel in tight stuff. I don't know, I guess I was just a little cocky that day. Well, it's something that I've never really expected from when I was little. I just wanted to be a Supercross rider, you know? It's never one of those things where I'm like, well, I'm 11 years old or 12 years old. Okay, I think I want to be the next Supercross record breaker or whatever. I don't know, it's just,
obviously I have something that some people don't have, and it's taken me a lot of hard work to get where I'm at, and a lot of support from my family and friends, and I never really expected it. It's a great feeling and a great honor, because to me, Bob Hanna, RJ, O'Mara, you know, Lachine, Bailey, all those guys, when I think of those guys, I think of, wow, you know, they're way up here. But, you know, when other people look at me, I think they think of that now. They think of me being up there. But to me, I just don't see that yet.
What do you see in this blood, hmm? Interesting. And this one? I see. And finally... Oops, my mistake.
Suzuki Dual Sport motorcycles. 4 personalities, 1 great line.
Oh, I see.
When is a stamp not just a stamp?
When it's a real hero, like me.
Save a page of new comic strip classic stamps.
A fine likeness.
At your post office, or call for a catalog. When is a stamp not just a stamp?
When it's the one you've been waiting for.
The Maryland stamp, now at your post office. Or call for a catalog.
Agassi nails the ball harder than anybody. Becker, he knows the strategy, and he goes out there to really attack his opponent.
The 1995 AMA 250 Year in Review Show has been brought to you by Honda. Honda, winner and holder of the last 8 consecutive Supercross titles. Honda, come ride with us. Welcome back to our 250 Motocross Year in Review. When you look at 1995, Jeremy McGrath, what a sensational story, because he had a lot to prove to other people, not really to himself. A little bit to himself, maybe, but chance for a repeat, John?
Oh, I say most definitely. The guy now has the confidence that he needs for the outdoor series. I mean, in Supercross, he goes out there expecting to win every single time. Now that he's got the championship, he won half the motos for the year, 12 out of 24. He's going to go into every moto next year in the Outdoor Nationals thinking, yeah, I can win this. I think it's going to be very tough to beat McGrath next year.
Even with the injuries, 12 wins.
Well, I think there was a lot of races that McGrath won where he didn't even really put out 100%. I think he has even more than what he showed us. And I think he's gonna need that, because next year I don't think he can count on LaRocco breaking down and getting hurt. Bradshaw, I think, will be a little bit more prepared. You've got Henry maybe back. He was very fast. It was a real challenge for McGrath, and Team Kawasaki, who knows what's going to happen there.
Then we got the Kitty Corps over at Kawasaki, really, the Huffman-Hughes combination. They're never great friends, you know, all through their careers, were they, huh? That ought to be interesting when things get hairy. Maybe another Rocco Kedrowski throw the bike incident, I don't know.
They won a championship out of that somehow, so I think they will work out their differences. And the fact that they don't like each other a whole lot, I mean, they're probably not going to be able to suppress that completely. And that might be good. I mean, it might force one rider to try to want to always beat the other guy, and the other guy wants. So it might lift that level of the team, the speed, and that sometimes helps develop a better motorcycle as well.
1995, doesn't matter what year, I enjoy covering these guys because of their athleticism.
Oh, these guys are probably in better shape than any other athlete in any other sport.
Looking forward to 96. Art Ekman, David Bailey, John Kernan, thank you for being with us. We'll see you next year.